Hey guys, my name is Priscilla Tiarina, and I will be talking about gender inequality. This first slide, we're going to talk about gender. Now I want to define sex. Now, sex is a psychological distinction between a male and a female. Now, it's pretty much what biologically makes us male or female. But gender is a social construction of masculine and feminine attitudes and behaviors. Now, in society, our gender will give us a hint as to what males and females can and cannot do. It's a battle of the sexes. Now, throughout the presentation, I will help you to identify and understand what gender equality between male and females are. Gender roles and stereotypes is what I focus on the four sociological perspectives, but here I'll give you a general description of what I talk about in my essay. Now, males and females have characteristical traits. Now, for males, it's agentive traits such as competent, independent, assertive, and achievement-oriented traits. As for a female, it's communal traits such as warm, friendly, emotional, and sociable traits. Now, gender roles become part of the societal norms which tell women and men how to act or behave in a particular context and situations according to their sex. Now, social evolution created sex differences. As the family molds, it becomes necessary for men and women to form different roles in the household. For men, it was a breadwinner. As for women, they were in charge of the family and the home. Now, in American culture, it was a patriarchal system, which was that men were dominant over females. Females were seen more as supporters and subordinate to male. Now, also, in the American culture, male privilege is distinctly put into language in a male point of view. For example, he is a generalized pronoun that is well accepted, unlike using she in a generic term. Now, back then, women staying home was a benefit for the means of production. And I go into a little bit more about detail in my essay. Now, here I'll be talking about the general description of gender wage gap. Now, in modern society, women are paid less than men. According to Joint Economic Committee, for every dollar earned by a man, a woman working full-time will earn 79 cents. Now, some factors that play a role in the gender gap is discrimination, qualification, and glass ceiling effect is relative to the gender inequality. Now, men are seen in a higher societal value than women are in the workplace. Despite a woman's qualifications, men are hired on affirmative jobs than women. Now, the glass ceiling effect has resulted in a relation to the gender inequality. The glass ceiling refers to the barrier that is inaccessible to minorities and women, which does not allow them to rise up the corporate ladder despite their qualifications and achievement. Now, women of color are even more affected, which I'll talk about in the next slide. Now, here's a graph of the median annual earning by race, ethnicity, and gender as of 2015. Now, women here are represented in orange, and men are represented in blue. As you can see here, men in all race or ethnicities earn more than women. But if we focus on the women part, white and Asian women earn a lot more than the rest of the race and ethnicities. So women of color really are affected by the gender wage gap. On this slide, I will give a general description of occupation segregation. Occupations are well known for being gendered and are most high in industrialized countries, such as the United States. When it comes to occupations, many people are distinguished which jobs are better suited for males and females. Men are more likely to be in blue-collar jobs than women in clerical, caring, and emotional labor jobs. Now, there are two types of sex segregations in the workplace. The first one is horizontal segregation, which is the separation of women into non-manual labor and men into manual labor sectors. Now, the second type of gender segregation is vertical segregation, which is defined by the separation of men and women in workplace hierarchy, which is lower ranking positions are dominated by women, while management ranks are dominated by men. Gender in education. Throughout the years, more female students have been attending a higher education institution. Now, despite being highly educated, the competition over prestigious positions, women may still find themselves in a disadvantaged position relative to men. There still seems to be a gender segregation when it comes to choosing a major. As you could see here, 78.6% of men graduate in the field of science and math. 85.1% of women graduate in the health profession, and 79.5% of women graduate in the education field. A factor that can play a role as to why female focus on traditional occupational fields is the influence the environment has on perception of gender. Now, society norms of what men and women are expected to be or do can cause women to fail to achieve their full potential and lower their expectations to follow the social norms. On this graph, you'll see the median weekly earning of women by race, ethnicity, and level of education. I'm not going to go into depth. I'm just going to give you a general description of what this graph means. Now, pretty much each color is designated for the level of education. And in the bottom, you'll see which type of race and ethnicity group of women it is. And on top, it'll tell you the amount of money they earn depending on what level of education they are. But as you can see here, Hispanic and African American women are still at a disadvantage compared to white and Asian American women. Now we have come to the last part of my presentation, which is the discussion. Now, gender inequality affects every community in the United States. Gender inequality will not fade away anytime soon, but here are some recommendations that might help solve gender inequality in the community. Exposing young women to successful female role models can help for women and girls to become independent and strong leaders. Educating children to pursue a higher education in what they want and what society prefers them to do can help change the societal norms of gender. Creating women programs or clubs to empower women can help bring more confidence and independence to women. Now, this presentation, as well as my essay, was to help to see the female perspective and point of view of women and what they face. Now, I thank you for your cooperation and attention of today's presentation. Thank you.